Okay. Sufficiently wired. Put that one down. All right. Sure. Okay, you want to try it? Are you guys getting the feed? Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Hello, U.S. Attorney's Office. Is it working?
We're good.
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming here. Before we get into the essence of why we are here today, I want to do a couple of things. First, I would like for everyone up here with me to introduce themselves, and then I will. Typically in a press conference we take questions afterwards, but when you find out the nature of what we're here today to discuss, you'll understand why today we will not be taking questions. Okay. First of all, Mike, would you start off introducing yourself?
My name is Mike Cass. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI office here in Kansas City, which covers Western District of Missouri and the state of Kansas.
And Governor Brownback was kind enough when he found out about the operation this morning to contact us and say he wanted to come down here to congratulate the outstanding work that the men and women who have worked on this project have done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Good afternoon. I'm Norman Williams. I'm the current Chief of Police for the City of Wichita, Kansas.
Good afternoon. I'm Ernest Garcia. I'm Superintendent of the Kansas Highway Patrol.
Good afternoon. Roger Zanders. I'm the current Chief of the Airport Police and Fire for Wichita Mid-Continent Airport.
Jeff Easter with the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff here in Sedgwick County.
I'm Keith Osborne. I'm the Federal Security Director for the state of Kansas.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm here this afternoon with members of the Wichita Joint Terrorism Task Force. We're here to tell you about a federal complaint that was filed today charging a Wichita man with a plot to explode a car bomb at Mid-Continent Airport here in Wichita. The defendant is Terry Lee Lowen. He's a white male, age 58, an avionics technician who works at the airport and who lives here in Wichita. The defendant was arrested this morning at approximately 5:40 a.m. at the airport. Mr. Lowen faces 3 charges. 1 count of attempting to use a weapon of mass destruction, 1 count of attempting to damage property with explosives, and 1 count of attempting to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization. If he's convicted of these charges, he faces a maximum penalty of life in federal prison. The criminal complaint, which was filed today in U.S. Federal District Court, alleges that Mr. Lowen spent months developing a plan to use his access card to the airport to drive a car loaded with explosives to the terminal. It's alleged that he planned to pull the trigger on the explosives himself and die in the explosion as a martyr. Agents arrested him at about 5:40 a.m. as he attempted to use his access card to enter the tarmac and to deliver the vehicle loaded with what he believed to be high explosives. In fact, those explosives were inert, and it was not a bomb that would ever explode. Members of the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force took him into custody without incident. Now, I want to express in the strongest terms possible that at no time was the airport perimeter breached, and that at no time was any citizen or member of the traveling public in any type of danger. No one was placed in any jeopardy. I also want to add this. We have no indication that the defendant was involved or working with any members of any religious community in Wichita, and his actions in no way reflect anyone else in our community. Let me tell you a little something about the investigation itself. Mr. Lowen had been under investigation by the Wichita Joint Terrorism Task Force since early summer of 2013. He made statements that he was resolved to commit an act of violent jihad against the United States. Over a period of months, he took several actions to advance this plot. According to the affidavit filed with the complaint, it alleges that Mr. Lowen studied the layout of the airport and took photographs of various access points. He researched flight schedules to determine when there would be a maximum number of individuals at the airport. He assisted in acquiring components which he believed were part of the building of the bomb. He talked about his commitment to this crime and his commitment to martyr himself as part of this horrific event. This morning, as I said, when he went to the Mid-Continent Airport to detonate the bomb, he was taken into custody when he attempted to open the security gate with his pass. He was taken into custody when that security pass failed to operate the gate. As I said, he was taken in without incident. No one was harmed, fortunately. The FBI evidence response teams are processing multiple locations right now for evidence. And although the investigation is ongoing, we do not anticipate any additional arrest at this time. I was talking with the governor earlier, and in this day and age of cynicism about government and cynicism about law enforcement, I want to tell the members of our community and the folks in our state that this is a shining example of how good law enforcement, how well they work together. It was truly a textbook example. And I want to thank the Wichita JTTF, the FBI, the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, the Kansas Highway Patrol, the Transportation Security Administration, the Wichita Airport Authority, and the Wichita Police Department for the work they did on this case. It was truly a team effort. Now what I'd like to do is turn this over to SAC Cass for the FBI so he can give you his comments.
See if we can do this handoff.
Sure.
Okay, can you hear me back there? Well, thank you, Barry, and much of the stuff that I'll talk about, Barry might have hit on, but there are some points that I really want to emphasize, and I want to emphasize some points from the FBI. So first off, as the U.S. Attorney said, this absolutely would not have been possible without the cooperation of our state and local partners that are on our Joint Terrorism Task Force. We absolutely could not have got that done without them. Today's arrest, however, emphasizes that homegrown terrorism is a continuous threat within the United States. While we feel protected here in the heartland, in the middle of America, we have a certain sense of security. But today, again, it reminds us that terrorism remains a very real threat. Just last month, FBI Director Comey testified before the United States Senate Committee on Threat to the Homeland, and during that testimony, I want to quote part of his testimony. First, I worry most at home about individuals we call homegrown violent extremists. They are people who are inspired by Al-Qaeda, but who direct themselves and equip themselves to engage in their own version of jihad on behalf of the terrorism interest. As law enforcement, we are charged with and have an obligation to take action and protect the public whenever an individual expresses a desire to commit violence. Allowing an individual intent on killing people to proceed without government response is not an option, and it will never be an option. Keep in mind today, as you start examining this investigation and you start examining our actions, today's actions by this individual were a choice on his part. It was a choice to act upon an intent to do harm. By no means is this based or should it reflect on any religious community or a house of worship. To hijack a peaceful religion, to manipulate it and exploit it to justify one's criminal actions is in no reflection upon an individual community or their religious beliefs. I want to reassure the public, as the U.S. Attorney said again, at no time, and I want to repeat, at no time was the public safety at risk, nor was the safety of any traveler at Mid-Continent Airport ever at risk. The threat was real, Terry Lowen was real, and Terry Lowen was committed to execute this plan, but I can assure you again, the public was not at risk at all. Today's arrest also emphasizes the tremendous working relationship among law enforcement within the state of Kansas And I must again commend the fine job of the Joint Terrorism Task Force. Barry had already mentioned them, so I'm not going to do that. Investigations of these types, because of their nature, are very sensitive and follow strict guidelines governing the use of undercover operations. We base our investigations on sound legal standards with the ultimate goal of keeping U.S. citizens safe while protecting us from a terrorist attack, which is the FBI's #1 priority. The FBI, along with our law enforcement partners, work together, working hand in hand with our prosecutors, the United States Attorney's Office, and the Counterterrorism Section of Department of Justice, ensuring and maintaining adherence to these guidelines. Finally, as I've mentioned, we rely on our law enforcement partners to do our job, but we also heavily rely on the community's partners every day to assist us to keep our community and our nation safe. Members of the community are our valuable partners. Everyone has a role in keeping us safe and a responsibility to remain vigilant. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody involved in this today, the federal, state, local agencies that collaborated in this investigation of this terrorist threat here in Kansas. The Joint Terrorism Task Force, FBI, Kansas Highway Patrol, Sedgwick County Sheriff, Wichita Airport Police, Wichita Police Department, TSA, and other law enforcement agencies collaborated, as you've heard, in an intensive 6-month investigation that resulted in the arrest of Terry Lowen this morning without incident. In our ongoing war on terrorism, the good guys won one today. A joint operation with federal, state, and local components captured a would-be terrorist before he caused any harm. This is the way your government is supposed to operate. United and effective, and it happened today. I want to congratulate all those involved in this successful operation, and I think it's also important to remember that our dedicated law enforcement personnel are committed to our safety every day. Even here in the heartland, we must remain vigilant and remember the motto, if you see something, say something, no matter where you are. I congratulate FBI, Joint Terrorism Task Force, U.S. Attorney's Office. Look forward to seeing this as a successful prosecution as well.
Thank you, Governor. As I said, we won't be taking any questions, but we will be handing out copies of the complaint that has just been filed within the past hour or so. We have them over here, so it'll give you an opportunity to fill in a lot more of the information that we're not at liberty to disclose at this point in time. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. I've got the press releases, and Bridget has the copies of the criminal complaint. Thanks for that. Did a lot. Ernie?
Sir, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Good job.
Sure. Which one's yours?
The criminal complaint's worth reading to you guys. There's answers to questions you might have asked in the real world. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to say, he is going to be arraigned